So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Galaxy S26 Ultra 3 weeks later. Has it been worth it, or do I regret it? Now, I want to make one thing very clear right from the start. As a YouTube content creator and someone who does create videos on phones, yes, I have access to more phones than the average person. However, I do want to make it clear that I do pay for these Galaxy S series phones with my own money. And so I'm still coming from the eyes of a consumer because I'm buying this myself. Am I more incentivized to get it to make content? Absolutely. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Yes. But at the same time, I do have a perspective of somebody who paid their own cash on this thing. And so I do want to talk about multiple areas of the phone and if I regret it or not. First of all, let's talk about the price to go ahead and cop one of these. Now, they do retail rather high, depending on what you consider high for a smartphone, but this is definitely an ultra phone, so it costs higher than most of the competing phones that are kind of similar price range. But when we talk about the actual price, a lot of people are going to get this thing discounted with a trade-in. And so I think that the price is worth it if you do a trade-in and you get enough to justify getting the phone at way less than retail. But if you're coming from a much older phone, it's an easy yes. And I consider like before this phone, not S24 Ultra, like S23, S22. If you're coming from one of those phones, I think it is justified. You can see right here, they're now doing the 512 gig for $12.99. So now you're getting that $12.99, but there's one difference though. The trade-in values have reduced a little bit. So definitely they're down from the initial pre-order phases. You were getting more for these smartphones. So that's kind of like evening out, I think that's a word, that's evened out kind of if you think about it. If you're getting more storage for less price, but you're getting less on the trade-in, it's almost even. But at least they're putting the 512 gig there. I would say that the phone definitely is worth it again if you can stomach the cost after a trade-in and you come from a phone that's prior to maybe like S24 Ultra and below. Other than that, me personally coming from the S25 Ultra, the only reason this is worth it for me is to make reviews for you guys. I pick up these phones because I want to help you decide if they are worth it. But as a personal customer, if I had the S25 Ultra, I would definitely just stick with that for sure. Now, the build in the body, is it worth the change, the design, the feel? Coming from the older phones, it is a little bit lighter. You know, I do like that functionally because a lighter aluminum phone is better at dispersing heat, but also it does feel like more comfortable to hold. So I like this. I think it's worth it if you like a big phone that feels comfortable. I think they're headed more towards that direction. If they go more towards like a S21 Ultra type feel in the future, it's going to be even better. So they are rounding the corners a bit more. If you like the iconic pointy corners of the rectangular shaped kind of like S24 Ultra, this might not be your cup of tea. But if you do appreciate better comfort in hand, this phone definitely has it on the S26 Ultra. It feels pretty comfy for a large phone. It also doesn't feel super heavy and the weight is well balanced. What isn't well balanced is how this thing rocks on a table. It is a pretty severe angle this sits on. Some people say, well, look, Nick, bro, I don't put my phone on a table and doing this all day. You might not, but there might be that one situation when you got a banana in the one hand and you're trying to eat a banana and you're typing like this and you're like, oh, I can't do this. This thing's rocking all over the place. You might pick it up and then try to do a one-handed type, which also might be kind of hard because of the size of the phone. But yeah, build and body, I think it's pretty nice. They're still sticking with their tried and true kind of look here, vertical camera, the power button, volume marker, same side. You'll see on the left, pretty much the same. On the bottom, S Pen. But generally, you know, we haven't seen an amazingly different change in a few years on the Samsung. Just more refinement, more polish. One thing I don't love, I talked about it before, is the S Pen design when you put it in the opposite way. It just looks kind of strange that we have it sticking out of the phone like that. I can't believe they overlooked that one, or maybe they just couldn't get it to fit in there. I don't know. That's not super clean, but the charging is quicker on here, and this white is a really clean white. I do like this white edition. It does say Samsung right there. It's a little bit tough to see. Some people have said, though, that the phone looks a little bit more like an A series device. I can see some of the resemblance, but when you actually hold them, it definitely feels nicer than an A series, let's be real. Also, the punch hole is a bit smaller on the previous S25 Ultra, and the S25 Ultra's titanium is a little bit colder when you pick it up in the morning. It feels a little bit higher end with that material, but you know, it also can feel a little bit warmer under heavier usage and gaming on the phone. And so for that reason, I still like this build and body here on the phone. Let's talk about one of the more controversial aspects we've been hearing about quite a bit, and that is the privacy display's pixel arrangement, making some people think that this phone doesn't look great on certain angles. But you can see with privacy display on, the feature definitely works, and it is a groundbreaking changing feature if you are out in public, you're on the train, whatever, and you don't want people peeping in your business. This thing is an amazing new change. There are some videos out there that showcase when you put like the S25 Ultra really close next to the S26 Ultra that it's barely distinguishable any difference. However, if you are a very detailed person and you can pick up on things, I'm one of those. I could definitely see a little bit of a difference in the pixels, like just how the actual screen looks on different angles. It just looks a little different to my eye. Is it a con? Depends on who you speak to. For me, I kind of got used to it in like 3 days, so I don't even care anymore. But I'm just saying, it's going to be those people who are very sensitive to display changes that are really going to notice. I think most people, the majority of users in day-to-day, will never really notice nor care about that pixel arrangement change, because the resolution is still very high. The overall display is still incredibly bright. You still have most of the same features. You still get the privacy display, which is going to be an amazing new touch for those of you out there. And so this is still a top-notch display. I wish it was 10-bit, and I wish it had a little bit higher pixel density, because there's some phones out there with a higher pixels per inch. But at the same time, it's a phenomenal display with a really innovative privacy display feature. Also, because it's a Samsung phone, like we've talked about before, you can definitely easily take advantage of this and have about 6 applications open at once. You could actually have more. I'm just making an example of it, but it's definitely a fun phone to use, very useful one. However, the multitasking abilities of this display are better taken advantage of on a folding phone, especially the Z Fold 7 and the 8's coming out later this year. So those are the phones if you're a heavy multitasker, but you could still throw this thing into a landscape mode. You can still split screen. And looking at video and content on here is just an absolute dream to do on this phone. It feels like you're using a little lightweight with this aluminum build mini TV in your hand. It's like you're having like a little Samsung TV everywhere you go to go ahead and watch some content. So definitely I do enjoy the overall display. It has been really good, and I think it is worth it for those of you coming from a different phone looking for an upgrade. Only people who won't really care too much is the S25 Ultra owners. They're going to be like, they might even notice the difference because they're so used to the pixel arrangement on their older phone. Now, the premium debate, S26 Ultra, S24 Ultra, S25 Ultra, you could see the last 3 iterations right here. I like this phone more than both of these for function. I think it feels better as a daily holding, like how it feels in the hand to hold it day to day. I like it more than the titanium phones. The titanium phones, though, I do like more if you want a phone that feels incredibly premium to hold. They definitely have that on lockdown. But as a functional daily, I do enjoy the S26 Ultra. I just like its lighter weight build. I like its cooler operations. It just feels more like a phone you're gonna want to use heavy day to day. Not that those two aren't either; those are also good. But this one, even without a case, you don't really feel any type of heat, except for the initial process when you set up everything. You're downloading hundreds of gigs of data and everything. That might be a little bit warm, but other than that, it's super fast and zippy. So speaking of fast and zippy, let's talk about the software. One UI 8.5 on board. I actually just missed the update. I think there was one like yesterday. I got to do the update. But the software has been incredibly fun. It's been fast. It's been zippy. Yes, it hasn't changed dramatically over the past like 2 years, but it's been very, very enjoyable. And so with that being said, the phone has been a dream to use when it comes to just like all of the Galaxy Store, the Galaxy Good Lock. You have the health, the ecosystem. It really does feel like everything in the kitchen sink in this phone. It feels like you don't miss out pretty much anything from other phones with this phone. However, if you crave a more minimal experience, you crave a cleaner software, I think some people might not love this, but for those of you who want everything in your package in one phone, this one is, you got to look at this phone. It really does bring the heat. Also with the Now Brief, Now Nudge, AI call screening, and security improvements to this phone, live translated more. I mean, this phone just has what you need. It really does. It also does give you the Gemini key like most Android phones, circle to search. It just has pretty much everything you need on a smartphone. And so it really is kind of like the all-in-one, the jack of all trades, but not necessarily the master of any of them. Like, there are phones with better cameras. I think in certain areas, there's phones with better, sharper screens, maybe not the biggest or more innovative screens. There's phones that are maybe a little bit faster gaming devices, but for a mainstream phone, this is really tough to beat in pretty much any area. It does really good in all of them. And speaking of that, the actual performance of this phone, you've been seeing in my speed test that it's been winning out. It's been beating most of the competition, so I don't regret it when it comes to performance. The S25 Ultra was also pretty boss to me, so last year I was already kind of used to this. Samsung carries it over here. And it really, I mean, these days it's starting to feel like I'm carrying around laptop performance in my pocket. Like, it's really impressive. You can actually just plug in the S26 Ultra into a monitor and be on your way. In playing games, it doesn't break a sweat with these things. I mean, you could play these games, you can, see some really nice graphics. The phone doesn't get too warm under these usages. It stays smooth, doesn't throttle back. If you take a look at some of my results right here, you'll see it's getting some of the best scores in the industry, outperforming nearly every phone out there, with only like 3% of other phones doing better, which are likely high-tier gaming phones. So this thing is an absolute monster. Like, in every way, shape, and form with the performance, it's been pretty good. Also, it has a couple micro stutters. You've seen one coming out there with the Wildlife a little bit ago. But it's, for the most part, very fast, reliable. I don't really see any massive bugs on a day-to-day. Things tend to open good. They don't really ever crash. And so this is a reliable daily smartphone performer, and very fast to scroll, much faster than what I find on some, other devices. So this phone is fast. Let's just put it that way. In performance, definitely worth it. Don't regret it. Now with the cameras, I don't think they did enough this year. Honestly, yeah, the horizontal lock thing is pretty cool. The AI processing, also very cool. We do have LUTs. That's a really good pro feature, but I just want to see them bring new sensors, something more advanced. It kind of just feels like we keep getting iterations on the same camera system every year. So for me, if I'm coming from an S24 Ultra or an S25 Ultra, maybe even S23 Ultra, these camera upgrades, probably good from the S23 Ultra, but above that, I don't feel like it's like a life-changing experience, but at least you have refinements for those of you who actually take advantage of them. I think they can improve on the sensors being. One of the things I don't love, though, is the shutter lag. It definitely has shutter lag. Like, it doesn't take pictures as fast as I would like, and you can get a little bit of, if you're moving kind of fast, you can get a little bit of blur on there. So I think some other phones do a bit better in that department. Now, when it comes to other areas of the phone, audio sounded good. I do enjoy the faster charging. It always makes it a little bit better. The actual battery life on this phone, definitely I don't love it with the battery. It's better than the S25 Ultra, but it's still kind of the same thing. Like, you still have to charge this thing every night. It's not like a 2-day silicon carbon phone. I mean, this battery is just, it's serviceable. It's going to get you through power use through a day. You're still charging every day though. So it just kind of keeps chugging along with that 5,000 milliamp. Same thing, just more optimized. So yeah, I know some people don't believe that technology is ready for prime time yet, but at the same time, I have no issues with my OnePlus phones and some other competitors out there with that battery technology so far. So good. I just want to see a bigger cell on the next Ultra. I thought it was coming here. That was a disappointing one to me overall. So let me know your thoughts about that down below. One thing I'm very happy about with this phone is actual connectivity to not only like cell towers. The Wi-Fi performance is blazing quick on here. The Bluetooth. This really is a true Ultra phone in those departments. It really feels more reliable in connectivity areas than almost every other phone I've used. This is the phone I grab when I know I need the most reliable service, period. This thing, absolute beast in that department. So this is one where I would, if you make a lot of phone calls, you need to rely on 5G a lot, and you have a good strong carrier with 5G, not like a cheap prepaid that doesn't give you strong 5G, this is the phone to get. This phone has some of the best cell reception I've ever seen on the market. So this is pretty awesome. Now, final verdict, 2 weeks later with this phone, I can wholeheartedly recommend this, honestly, to specific users though. If you're coming from pre-2024 phones, I think this is a easy recommendation. It has enough upgrades to justify it there. S25 Ultras though, users, you won't be blown away. I think you're going to be like, yeah, if you upgrade, you're going to be like, yeah, it's nice, but not that much different. But if you're an enthusiast, you're still going to probably upgrade just because you like to have the latest phone. And maybe it's a treat to yourself, whatever, but you're not going to feel like you just had a massive change. You're going to enjoy it at first, the privacy display, and you're going to be like, realize, oh, this is kind of the same phone. So yeah, it's really for those 2 to 3 year old, more like 3 to 4 year old upgraders. So that's kind of where we're at right now, I feel like, in the smartphone game. But I think we're going to see bigger changes on the next S line. I really do. But I'm not going to hold my breath until I see it. Let me know your thoughts on this one down below in the comment section. That's my 3 weeks later with this phone. Definitely don't regret it in most areas. But whether it's worth it or not really comes down to the specific needs you have and the specific phone you're coming from. That's my final take. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you have questions, comments, concerns, drop them down below. I'll try to get back to your comments. Community will also get back to your comments as well. And we'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.